Welcome to Chef Nalave's oxtail a la Lorraine, which is my mother's name. This is her recipe. I'm going to show you how to make the best oxtail soup ever. And we will start with the ingredients. Okay, you are going to need some celery, carrot, onion, potatoes, sauce, 2 big cans of sauce, and as many oxtails as you want. I prefer to use about 3 to 4 pounds of oxtail, which is a lot. And then I'll substitute, if you want some extra meat, this choice shank, which is actually very good in oxtail soup. Oh, I forgot to mention the other ingredient, which is, we'll get to the spices later, cabbage and barley. So what we're going to do is we're going to chop up a bunch of these veggies now, and then we'll show you what to do. Okay? So I'm cutting up the celery. Now what you're not going to see on this video is amounts of veggies and such, because it's up to the individual what they like. Each time I make this soup, I might make it a little different. So that's up to you on how much. Maybe you don't like carrots. Maybe you like a lot of potatoes. Maybe you don't like celery, or you like a lot of celery. So that's going to be kind of up to you. Okay, so let's review our veggies. We have the potatoes, the carrots, celery, a full onion, and about 3/4 of a cabbage. I like to slice mine kind of thin, small, as you can see. Now we may or may not use all of this, but when we get to that. Now what I have boiling but simmering over here is the 2 cans of tomato, and I actually put some homegrown chopped tomatoes from the garden that I saved from the summer. You can do diced tomatoes or stewed tomatoes, whatever. And we're going to add water, but we'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, now here are my oxtails. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of those. I just rinsed them off, and there's some big ones there. And then over here, I've got my other meat that I'm going to do. I may just cut that. I might just put that in whole. So there's going to be a lot of meat for this soup, but I like it like that. All right, so now we're just going to take our oxtail, rinsed oxtail, and we're going to put them in our sauce and water. I mentioned I put about a can and a half of water. We're going to definitely add some water to this. I don't like to add too much water. I like it a little more tomatoey based than water based. And then these bad boys, what do I want to do with these? They're so big. Oh yeah, that's a lot of meat. Oh my God, I guess I'll just toss them. Whatever, in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah, that's a lot of meat. That's a lot of meat. Okay, so the meat's in. I'm gonna add some water because it's a little thick for my liking. So I'm actually adding a full can of water. Actually, I'm gonna go with 2 cans, and I think I'm gonna add a can of tomato sauce. Yeah. So if you were hoping for exact amounts, yeah, you're not getting it here. I found a can of organic diced tomatoes, so guess what? I'm putting it in. Crazy. I know. Sucky recipe for people, but whatever. You see how it's made. Oh, these are nice. Those are nice. Very nice. I like it. Okay, so I've added the diced tomatoes, and I want you to kind of see how it's kind of watery, but still tomatoey. That's what I like. I don't like a clear broth on this soup. You want it more tomato. So all the meat's in there kind of simmering. Now let's add the veggies and see what that looks like. All right. Okay, all the onion for sure. Who doesn't like a lot of onion in their soups? Right? Onion for sure. I think the carrots for sure. All the carrots. Not even that many. I might have added some more. Celery. I love celery. And that was a fresh celery right there. So I'm adding all that too. Potatoes. Now this, I don't know. Let me see. What are we looking like here? You know what? Yeah, it looks like I kind of made just the right amount. Cabbage I'm not putting in yet. Gotta mix this around and see what this is looking like. Oh, this is looking pretty good. I haven't done any spices yet. We'll do that in a bit. Oh, so I stir it around and look, grab a spoonful, see how many veggies come up in it, and see if you want more or less. So, perfect so far. All right, now let's get to spices. Still no cabbage yet. Spices. Okay, it's time for the spices, and we've got some thyme, some bay leaf, Italian seasoning, oregano, basil, parsley, garlic powder, Lorry salt, my favorite. Can't do without that. Some salt and some pepper. So, those are your ingredients, and here's about how much I put in. Okay, time for the spices. I like to start with Lorry salt. Just a little sprinkle on top. Good amount. Again, I don't measure because a good cook shouldn't have to get measurements. Thyme. Not so much. Just a dash or two. Bay leaves. Why not? Let's throw in. Smell pretty good. 1, 2, 3 bay leaves. Some Italian seasoning. Not too much of this. This has a bunch of stuff, so I just do a little sprinkle. Good. Some oregano. I'm going to do maybe, as you can see, I'm dashing that in there. Let me mix this around a bit. I always go by smell. I don't really go by taste. I could smell the spices in there and tell what kind of outside of salt that is, because salt's got a taste. Basil. You know what? I think I'm going to do, maybe a tablespoon of basil. Why not? Parsley, it doesn't have a flavor, it gives it some color, so I just load it in there, whatever. All right. Some garlic powder, not a lot. I'm not really a garlic lover. I know I'm Italian, mostly Polish, but I know I get crap for it all the time, but I don't like a lot of garlic. Very strong, pungent for me, but I'm going to put a little bit in there. Salt for sure. A lot of salt, because that's going to... And that you can add as you're testing it. Then, of course, dueling pepper, grinding pepper. Love my pepper. Gotta have a lot of that. Pepper. This one fine chopped. This one is rougher grade. Whatever. Okay, so that's it for now for the spice. I'm going to mix that up and see what that is. Now, we still haven't put our barley in. That's last, along with the cabbage. But I'm going to mix this up and see what that tastes like. Or not tastes like, but looks like. Okay, mix that up. I am going to do a little more oregano. I kind of like the Italian, the little Italian flavor to it. I'm going to put a little more oregano. And the after a couple of hours of this cooking, the oxtails and the fat and everything will break down. That's what's going to give it the smell, that unique smell of oxtail. So I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that cook for a little bit, and then we'll see if we need any other spices. Okay, so that's cooking a little. Now I'm going to throw in my cabbage. I'm going to see kind of what everything looks like. I try to keep it in chunks so it doesn't fall apart. It's kind of good when you take out a big chunk of cabbage. It's got all that flavor in it, so you want to be kind of careful mixing it. So this is actually looking a pretty good consistency with this. So now I'm going to cover this. You could put the barley in now. There's no harm in it, but I'm going to let it cook for a couple hours before, because barley cooks quick. So I'm going to cover that, let that simmer for a good couple hours, and then we'll check back. Okay, so here's what it's looking like so far, which is good. I haven't started to cook this down, but you can see kind of the consistency of it, kind of watery, which is fine, just fine, not so thick, not too thin. A good mix of veggies when you get a spoonful there. So again, now I'm going to let this cook a while. I guess I'll clean up in kitchen number 1. Anybody? Nobody. It's me, I guess. Okay. While we wait, enjoy this musical interlude. Okay, this has been cooking for a bit. I'm going to now add the barley. And I have a bag of it here, but I'm actually going to just sprinkle maybe... You don't need a lot of this because the egg noodles that you have this with. So I'm going to maybe put a half a cup. Is that kind of what that was? Just to give that, let that soak up some flavors too. Maybe just a little bit more. Why not? Feeling crazy. Barley. Okay, that's it. Okay, boys and girls, while this is cooking, I've got to go over a couple of very important things. When you make a oxtail a la Lorraine, you don't eat it that day. As much as you'd like to, you don't. This cooks for about 3-4 hours until all that fat from the oxtails breaks down. And then you take it off, let it sit for an hour, and put it in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. Then you take it out the next day and heat it up for a couple of hours, and that meat will fall off the bone. I always have mine with extra broad egg noodles, I guess they call it. This is a must. So that's it, and I will check it maybe after the final process, but for the most part, that is it. Taste it along the way. If you want to add some salt or pepper or other spices, you can do that, but once this cooks for 3-4 hours, sits overnight, all of those flavors get into all the veggies and the cabbage and everything, and you put that over there, and you're going to love it. Thank you, Lorraine. A la Lorraine. That's it for now.